Hello, everyone, and welcome to the POAP Community Call number 40. So glad to have everybody here tonight. My name is Mr. Mojo, and I am one of your hosts, and I'm up here with three of my friends, or I guess I should say four, because Danceratopz, he's actually two people right now. But as always, we have JENetics from Ultrasound Merch and POAPathon up here. Hello, good to have you.
Hello, hello. Glad to be here.
And we also have Logic Beach from Grid Plus and other initiatives around in the Web3 community. Great to have you.
Yeah, good to be here. Good evening, everyone.
And then, as I alluded to a moment ago, we have Danceratopz up here, as well as, see, how do you pronounce your username, Roger?
It's Haurog.
Haurog. Awesome. Well, I think I'm just going to stick to Dan and Roger, if that's okay. It's a little easier to say.
Perfect. That's good.
Is that a Lord of the Rings reference?
No, it's just my name a bit mixed up. That's all.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking a lot 10 years ago when I made this pseudonym.
Yeah. I was thinking about Balrogs. Awesome.
It sounds like that, yes.
Yeah, but it's wonderful to have y'all on. They are from disCarbon, and we are going to be talking about their project and their initiative a little bit later on in the call. But very excited to have them on because they are also coming to us live from Bogota, Colombia at Devcon 6, and they're going to be sharing a whole bunch of shenanigans that they're getting into at the conference. And so really looking forward to that. But for right now, I do want to talk about POAP claiming from here. So as many of you know, we use the guild.xyz platform in order to distribute our POAP. To help yourself out a little bit later on, you want to go to the Join Guild channel, and you want to go ahead and join the guild and get the guild door role. They'll make your life a little easier at the end of our call when we actually distribute our POAP. But alright, we're going to go into our first topic of tonight. So I wanted to talk about giving back to our community using POAP utility. And one of the main reasons why I really wanted to talk about that is because we're seeing this shift from POAPs being something that you're not only giving them out anymore, we're moving on from just creating your POAP and distributing it. Now people are expecting utility to be added to those POAPs, and so now we're seeing the community wanting to see, as I was saying, the utility being added in. So some communities, they've begun using things like guild.xyz or POAP checkout in order to monetize their POAPs. And most of these early monetizations, they've gone towards entities like the Protocol Guild or to get coin grants or even to charity. But there are also some communities out there that are using these POAP monetization features to build a treasury. For example, us here at the POAP Community Call are doing that. And so one of the main topics of discussion for tonight is going to be why we believe up here on the panel that POAPs are now entering this utility phase. And I want to start with Jen to get your opinion on this. So you give out a lot of POAPs yourself, and you even head a Web3 design company whose one of the main proponents is designing POAPs. I want to hear your thoughts on us transitioning from not only just giving the POAPs out to give them out for fun, but now people are trying to figure out ways to add utility to them.
Yeah. So it's amazing the different types of third-party applications that have already been built with POAP. And so it's not like we have to wait for these utilities to show up, right? So you have all of these different things that, especially now that we're asking, for small amounts of money for POAP, $1 or $2, that we can then use those premium POAPs to really reward the most dedicated community members. Other applications like Twitch, YouTube, even Instagram and Twitter or not Twitter, TikTok allow you to give. Really? My husband's other computer is talking to me. Hold on. So it allows you to reward or thank the creators monetarily. And so now with POAP, we have the ability to do that. And then in return, those creators are able to reward their communities in different ways through either early access to drops, discount codes through different websites, or even doing giveaways, purchasing different either NFTs or things like that, and then doing giveaways. So I think all of those different utilities that have already been built into POAP are just going to be amplified so much more now.
It's interesting that you bring up a few of these social media platforms like a YouTube or a Twitch, because you sort of see a bunch of things that are already built into those platforms. Twitch, for example, you can follow somebody on there. You can subscribe to someone on there. Well, what happens whenever you subscribe to somebody on Twitch? Well, you get a chat badge, you get channel-specific emoticons, and then you can also do things like give people bits, and that will also give you like another chat badge and stuff like that. And so now you're seeing these kind of concepts sort of go into other places, like a POAP, where there's so many things that you're able to connect it to. And so on a place like Twitch, you can have a status that's attached to your account in that person's Twitch channel. So if you're a follower, well, Twitch knows that you're a follower. If you're a subscriber, Twitch knows that you're a subscriber. And so you can do things like have a bot on Discord check your status, and based on whether you're a follower or a subscriber or not, you can get special privileges within that Discord. And it can be the same thing for something like a POAP, where if you own a certain POAP, maybe that can get you a certain role within a Discord, which allows you to see certain things within that Discord or allow you to see certain channels. It's definitely something that we're seeing evolved and be put into like a Web3 flavor.
Absolutely. And, even like I was thinking about this today on Twitch and on TikTok on the lives, you can actually give people like diamonds or roses. On TikTok, you can give, people like digital gifts that don't actually, it's not like they go permanently on their account, but you can give somebody their flowers. And so it's almost like we're doing the same thing with POAPs now.
Yeah, definitely. And Logic Beach, I kind of want to hear your opinion on this too. How do you see POAPs sort of transitioning from going to being something that's really just given out to now we want to do things with them?
Yeah, so it's like the POAP was the thing for a long time. And I hear this a lot from Superfizz, like, don't give a POAP out unless you're going to do something with it. And I think the curation team would probably agree with that statement too. I struggle with that, really. I mean, it just got so ingrained in me that the POAP was the thing, right? I mean, I did do a lot of raffles using POAP.fun. I figured that was like one of my favorite utilities with POAPs. And for those listening that don't know, it's just a raffle system that uses the POAPs like raffle tickets. And I still want to do that. I still want to use that specific functionality as like a value add for POAPs. I have something planned even, and I know that's what I'm going to use. But yeah, I try to think about that a lot, and I rarely can come up with anything that sounds like groundbreaking or like that valuable to do other than raffles. But that's just for me. I'm not probably the best person to ask, what's a great way to add value to a POAP? I mean, I love is it Lynn's protocol is doing, or is it the WeLook people, where you can post pictures to an event that only people that hold that POAP can see. I think that's a really great idea. I mean, it's definitely the move that is happening. It really is, and it needs to happen as POAP grows and evolves as something in this ecosystem. Like, it's not just going to be the POAP as the thing anymore. That's apparent.
Yeah. It's just the starting point, right? It's like once you have the POAP, now what?
Right. And I'm excited to see, I'm sort of a bystander for the most part. I mean, I don't want to be. I really do want to be one of those people that's like spearheading these amazing ways that a POAP can be used down the road for a community. And it's on my mind a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the things that we're able to do now with them Logic Beach and how you think that it's not necessarily like groundbreaking. However, I have this mindset of you don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to be able to use it to the best of its abilities, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I guess the more often that you use a wheel, you might come up with better ideas too. Just using the things that it can already do. I know that something that we were probably going to talk about is people using POAPs as a way to like crowdsource and fundraise for things, and I think that's great. That's sort of a segue into the into the next thing, I think.
Yeah, just to play off the whole wheel thing for one last moment. The wheels on a car, for example, are just the thing that helps it move on the road or move across the terrain. But there's so much more to the car, so we can think of the POAPs as maybe as the wheels, and then all of the utility would be the body frame and the doors and the engine. Well, I guess the engine would be like the communities behind the POAP, right? And then you got the steering wheel, and those are the the steering wheel would be the people who are like actually running those communities and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun analogy. It could definitely be expanded out.
Yeah, definitely. So Dan and Roger.
It just reminded me.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I just have one more thing else.
Finish, please.
I watched a video recently that somebody sent me where before like electricity was a new thing, and they started putting electricity into people's homes, not for general purpose, but for lights only. So once there were other things that could be done with electricity, the way you plugged them in was through a light socket, and it just blew my mind how crazy that sounds. And like we're using POAPs now, and we were using them as the thing, and we're in that transitionary phase where we're like, hey, wait a minute, we could install like plugs in our house for general purpose stuff. And that's what the community is doing with POAP in the background, is making these the infrastructure around POAP to make it not just the POAP as the thing, but all the value add that can go along with a POAP given to a community. Anyways, full stop.
No, I think it's definitely a great analogy to make. But Dan and Roger, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on how POAPs are evolving from moving on just being the thing that you give out to the thing that you not only give out, but put some meaning behind through utility.
Yeah, well, I was actually in two minds about it at the beginning. So when I first saw POAP checkout, I was a bit uncertain whether I liked that a POAP would have a monetary value, and that it should be really just purely focused on the memory. But I just think it just makes so much sense. I mean, to stop farming, stop botting, to raise for a good cause, I think it makes sense to combine this. If it's just, a small amount, just as a small threshold, as a friction layer, just to, ensure that the participation level is correct, I think that's absolutely fine. Like I've come to really accept it. And in terms of utility, I mean, there's just so many possibilities that obviously we haven't all thought of yet. And we're going to talk about two of those later on today. Maybe I'll wait till later to say how we're going to utilize it, because otherwise I think we'll get a bit bogged down in our stuff at the beginning.
Definitely. That's right with you. No, it's definitely a great discussion that we're going to have in a moment. That was Dan speaking, right? Sorry. It's just
that's right. That's Dan here. Yeah. The more British one is Dan. Yeah.
Excellent. Any thoughts from the other person?
from Roger.
Yes. Yeah. From Roger, please. Yes.
Yeah. I have the same sentiment. Had the same sentiment as Dan at the beginning. But yeah, the adding sourcing money for a cause. I loved the idea. Nowadays, I love the idea to have that and having the additional utility. It's like we can talk later on about my favorite POAP I have. It had utility for me since I have it now for 2 years. at least twice, I think. So we can talk about this then when we talk about my favorite POAP.
All right, excellent. All right, so to end off this topic, so as many know, we end up charging about $1 to claim our POAP for the last, this will be week 12, I think. And so all of those funds, we haven't used them yet, but we are beginning to tap into them so that we can give back to everybody that's listening, especially now that Theo is now the new POAP Community Manager and the Growth Manager over at POAP, Anthony. They've been really working to help us find ways to give back and even help us fulfill our obligations to everyone here. So I believe next week we'll be more prepared to talk about how we plan to give utility to the POAPs that we give out here on the community call. But do keep in mind, as an alpha drop, there are going to be some fun things that we plan to do with the funds that we raise from our community here. It just doesn't go in our pocket. In fact, it hasn't gone in our pocket at all. And if you really want to know where it's going, that's what Web3 is for. You can always look up the transactions. But okay, let's move on to our next topic of discussion. So, JENetics. You wanted to talk about a music festival that is happening in Austin, Texas. So please let us know, what's it all about?
Absolutely. So in the Austin area, which is where I live, there are two massive festivals that happen every year. One is ACL, Austin City Limits, and the other one is South by Southwest. Both have a good crypto presence. In fact, there's a lot of crypto-based businesses here in Austin as well. What's really cool is American Express, or Amex, has decided to give out a POAP at their booth. So if you happen to be in the Austin, Texas area and have tickets to go to ACL and don't mind the traffic and the crowds, it's definitely something that I encourage everyone to do. Swing by the American Express booth and get one of these POAPs. According to the article that Mr. Mojo has posted in the chat, they are giving the POAP away through QR code. I don't know if they're using the magic dispenser, which would be amazing. Of course, we know that that is the farmer-resistant way to distribute POAPs during the like IRL events that are with the public instead of just your good friends. And I'm also interested to see, it says that you'll get a different POAP every day of the festival. The festival is 2 weekends. And it says weekend 1 Friday. So I'm wondering if they're just changing the outside edge of this POAP for the different days. So you could potentially collect, it's either 4 or 6 POAPs, depending on if they're doing it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just Saturday, Sunday. I forgot. I looked it up and I've already forgotten. I myself avoid the crowds during, oh, there we go. So there's different art every time. So I avoid ACL and South by Southwest because I live in the Austin area. And if there's a time for me to avoid Austin, it's usually during the festivals. But if you're visiting, definitely go get these. The artwork on these POAPs is by a local muralist who goes by Zuzu B. She does have a Twitter, but it doesn't look like she is active on that Twitter, so you can find her on Instagram, but she is a local Austin artist, which I think is really cool that not only did they choose to give out a POAP, but they are also really, really showcasing a local artist.
And it looks like native plants too. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. I have a massive succulent and cactus garden that I upkeep. It's actually quite a lot of work here in the Austin area because when it drops below freezing, they all have to come inside the house. But yeah.
Yeah, we're about there here. Sorry to interrupt. I was just.
Oh no, cool. Yeah.
You're definitely right about like showcasing a local artist. I just love that they use native plants.
And they're really, really bright POAPs. One of them's a bluebell. That's our state flower is the bluebell. So there you go. This is really cool. Yeah, so if anybody happens to get them, please tag me on Twitter and say, look, I was there, and I'll give you a thumbs up.
Yeah, I think that this is great. It's really interesting to see these large corporations, especially someone like American Express, use POAPs in order to help people prove that they were there. For a lot of these festivals, you get a ticket to go, and the old-fashioned way is to save that ticket and put it in your memento drawer. But now people are able to say, oh, look, I was there on the first Friday or the second Saturday or however, and they're able to put it into their crypto wallet, and is a immutable way to show that they were there. I think it's great. In that article, it was discussing some of the performers that were there. I just want to shout them out really quick. This would have been the last week, so there was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, there was Paramore, there was Pink, there was SZA. I don't know who that is. I hope that's how they say their band name. And then Lil Nas X. So it's not like this is some little thing that's happening. This is a full corporate-backed event, and they got some big names performing there.
Absolutely. I mean, it is like massive. I think it's either for South by Southwest or ACL. The population of Austin doubles, which is obscene. Like within the city limits, the number of people that are staying there. So it's massive. Both South by Southwest and Austin city limits used to be just local homegrown artists, and it is now a national, if not international, event. So when you talk to native Austinites, we're like, but that's beyond the point. Oh, I also wanted to say that a company that we talk about quite a bit, their founder is here in Austin, and that is, oh my goodness, and the name just left my brain, where you get your digital tickets. And then when you go to the event, they airdrop you a POAP. Token proof.
Okay.
Yes, token proof.
Is it the company I work for? They're based in Austin.
Exactly, yeah. So, like I said, we have a very nice, strong POAP community, as well as crypto community here in Austin, which is really cool.
Yeah, a lot of crypto presence there.
Oh, and my cat is saying hi for the evening. Hi, cat.
You can't have a POAP community call without JENetics cat meowing in the background. That's part of it.
Yes.
Does the cat earn the POAP too, or just or not?
I should make her a wallet. Yes.
Yeah. I think about that. Yeah. All right. Since I'm already talking, I'll go ahead and move on into the next topic. I actually do want to go to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hold on, Logic Beach. I do want to touch on this for just another moment.
Yeah.
So
I'm jumping again.
No, it's all good. So seeing POAPs being given out at concerts is definitely one of the real life examples of POAP use. And just before we move on, I wanted to ask Dan and Roger how often they actually go out to somewhere like concerts, and whether or not receiving a POAP would be a good incentive to continue to go out to them, or to begin going out to them for that matter.
I think we definitely need more incentives. Roger and I both have small kids. So unfortunately, we're not quite as active on the concert scene as we used to be. But I would love to. I wish I had a POAP for every concert that I've been to, because I've undoubtedly forgotten one or two of them along the line. It would be awesome to have a concert collection.
From my side, yes, little kid makes it difficult. A month ago, there was the Rage Against the Machine concert in Switzerland, Zurich, where I live. It unfortunately got cancelled.
I had tickets.
I had tickets, yes. More or less. And come on, having this memory would be awesome. Having it in a POAP would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah,
so that's it from my side.
Yep, it's definitely a great use case, and something that I expect to see for a lot of real-life events in the future, especially with things like flow code being available, so that mass distribution through people just scanning their QR code. Pardon me, using their phone to scan a QR code, like on a big projection, making it easy. But all right, Logic Beach. Now we can talk about ApeCoin DAO. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it sort of fits in well with what you guys were just talking about too. Like it's speaking to POAPs as incentives to do a thing. And I also think that POAPs has an incentive to like go do stuff IRL. It's a pretty funny concept. I definitely am guilty of that. Like I'm much more likely to go to a concert if there's a POAP involved. Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to be talking about is ApeCoin DAO giving out POAPs for people that vote using the snapshot voting platform. So POAP for voting as a reward. It's a great idea, and it definitely falls in line with POAP as incentives. I think here this also is the POAP is the thing, unless they have some other plans for them. I don't know. I mean, maybe you want to reward your voters even more down the line. Who knows? So the proposal itself was submitted onto the Snapshot platform by a DAO community member called OX Sword. And he says, or they say, this proposal directs Ape Foundation to add a POAP NFT reward for voters. They are distributed through the Snapshot voting system for users to keep and share on social media channels. And the proposal also creates a 30-day contest to select 4 designs created by POAP artists, and they will reward the creators with 100 ApeCoin each. I guess, I don't know if they're going to use all 4 of the designs. It kind of sounds like it here. Or if they're just going to pay the top 4 designs. I think that's great. And I was wondering, is this saying POAPathon without saying POAPathon? I wonder. So yeah, this will definitely increase voter turnout. I know if I got a POAP for voting, I would probably be twice as likely to go vote, especially in real life, since you got to actually drive to a place. It's easy when it's just, go to Snapshot. I think it's .xyz, is that right? Hold on a second. I don't want to get that wrong. It's snapshot.org. That's pretty easy. You can do it from your armchair. So yeah, this is... I just wanted to mention how awesome I think it is that they call their improvement protocol. It's AIP, so like Ape -106. That's like the what do you call these things? The proposal. So the Ape DAO improvement protocol. Anyways, enough of that. Voting will wrap up tonight at 1 a.m. UTC or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Daylight Time. It's currently at 99.78% yes. I don't know who those 0.22% people that voted no to getting a POAP for voting are. Like, really? Why? But yeah, that's the story there. And I think that this has actually been a integration with POAP for some time on the Snapshot platform. As far as I know, if you have a DAO and you want to provide POAPs to people that vote in your DAO, they actually have a setup documentation here that shows you how to enable that. And I think that's great. You'll get a lot more turnout for your DAO and get a lot more voters if you offer something as simple as a POAP, even if the POAP is the thing. I recall doing this a lot with the Rocket Pool people. When they have proposals up for vote, they generally do provide a POAP for voters. So yeah, it's awesome. If you have a DAO and you want to incentivize voters, please, go check that out on snapshot.org and get it set up. And use POAPathon to get your art for these proposals, POAPs.
That's right.
I don't know if that's what Ape DAO is doing, but I really hope that they are.
Yeah, I'm unsure as to how they're doing it as well, but I think it is pretty interesting. And their ZeroX Sword, he makes some pretty good points. He has a few quotes that you were sort of talking about. One of the ones that I wrote down was he had said that rewarding voters with POAPs will create awareness on social media towards active proposals and encourage conversation around taking part in the voting process, which I believe is totally true, because whenever you're able to give people something as a sign of appreciation for interacting with their platform, for interacting with their project, for trying to help make what they're doing better. People really do appreciate that.
So, okay, so this POAP does have utility. It is sort of a marketing vehicle for the improvement protocols or proposals. That's pretty cool. I mean, I like that.
Yeah, I think
I was going to say it doesn't offer like utility so much to the individual, but it does for the entire DAO. I mean, I'm sure that, the POAP is the thing, but the utility is for the DAO. That's awesome.
Right, yeah, I think it's kind of the idea where people, they own these ape coins, or they own an actual Bored Ape NFT, and so they're part of this DAO. And, they want to see it grow. They want to see their... honestly, when it comes to things like the Bored Apes, it's one of the most popular Web3 projects in the whole world. Like, pretty much everybody knows what the apes are at this point, right? So, yeah, so taking steps to use more of what's available in Web3, like using these POAPs to raise awareness of their project and what they plan to do, I think it's very interesting, and I think it just kind of makes sense. But all right, so Dan and Roger, I got a question for you. So using POAPs to give back to people who are voting on your proposals, is that something that you've considered with your project? In fact, we're going to go right into talking about your project after this, I think. Oh, no, actually, sorry, I got it a little mixed up. But the question still stands.
Yes, we have, and yes, we will.
Excellent.
We are going to use the plugin that I think it was Logic Beach just posted in the chat. We're going to be using that one. And not only that, because we're distributing a POAP from the dApp that we'll talk about in a minute, the snapshot will be gated by a POAP that is used as a voting token. So double POAP to get in, and you get a POAP out.
Excellent. But all right.
Balanced things should be. I like that.
Yes. But all right.
As many POAPs as possible.
I do want to move on from this because we are going to be squeezing time. I want to be able to get everything in our discussion today. So, Dan and Roger, before we get into your project, I want to at least touch on your time, your presence over at Devcon 6. So, for those of you who don't really know yet, so Devcon 6, it's taking place in Bogota, Colombia from October the 11th through the 14th. And it's a place where you can go to listen to a bunch of talks and conversations about what's going on in the Ethereum ecosystem. There's plenty of swag to be... oh man, I cannot say this right now. There's plenty of swag to receive, and also plenty of POAPs that are being given out. And Dan and Roger, you had prepared plenty of pictures for us, and I'm going to be posting them. But I want you to just generally talk about how your experience has been going at Devcon 6 so far.
It's been really amazing. It's been very electric. So Devcon is the largest developer conference in the ecosystem, and I think there's about 5,000 people attending. I came in last Thursday and already managed to meet Patricio on Thursday evening, which is always nice to get your I've met Patricio POAP. And then I did the hackathon over the weekend, which was really incredible. And at the hackathon, my experience was, hacking is just an incredible experience where you get to meet a lot of people and build something cool in a weekend, and you find yourself doing things that you never normally would. It's a programming competition for people wondering what hacking is. What really amplified the experience for me was that the Nouns DAO amigos were there. So
oh yeah, I would love
felt
to post
very
some
Nounish. Yeah, I've got Roger's posting a couple of tweets that went out that shows the scenery. that was set up at the hackathon. So it was really nice. And they had a game set up, and you'd play the game against someone, and the winner got a t-shirt, or everyone got a t-shirt in the end. And it was a lot of fun. It was really good. And there were lots of stickers to be had. And I also had the honor of meeting Meshup. I just looked over his shoulder, and he was designing a really beautiful NFT or digital art on his computer, which is now actually live to mint for free mint. It's Meshup. Maybe I can post it later in the community chat, but you can find him on Twitter. He's also with NASDAO, and so we were feeling extremely extremely nounish, sorry, we were feeling. And that was a really good time. Then on Tuesday, it was the opening ceremony at Devcon, which was an absolutely incredible experience. Yeah, that's the one. So Roger's going to post Meshup's tweet now. You can find the mint if you're interested lower down. And we went to the opening ceremony on Tuesday. It was just really electric. It was just incredible. They had quite the show on. And of course, the first time that the community had met up at a DevCon in 3 years. So there was a lot of excitement and a lot of emotions, actually. I had to hold myself back a little. And of course, everyone was extremely thrilled about the merge, and there was a lot of fun. And Song Adal sang on stage. Vitalik came up. What's the chap called from the community calls? Or the guy that coordinates all the... So Danny Ryan was there with
Tim Bako.
Tim Bako was there on stage. It was really fantastic. Like, it was just 3 hours of like amazing information and entertainment, and yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah. So let's get to the swag, I guess.
Oh yeah, I would love to talk about that. So I'm gonna post these ones first. So these are the IYK cards that were given out. So we had Nick from ENS and Ryan from IYK come on 2 weeks ago now to talk about what they were doing. And here are some real-life examples of that.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit lost. Can you go back? Are we talking about the ENS cards?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, ENS tweeted out about 2 weeks ago that they had this amazing collaboration with IYK and POAP. So for those unfamiliar with IYK, they are linking physical items to POAPs. And in this case, it's actually in the form of a visitor card. So what you're seeing in our hands there is a custom printed card with a preloaded, so it's a near field communication. So you basically have to enable the NFC on your phone, and then when you hold that card up against your phone, it opens a URL in your browser, which then enables you to mint your personal or visitor POAP, however you'd like to call it. It's a wonderful tool to share your POAP with people, and having one which is custom printed is obviously pretty cool. So we were really excited about this collaboration. So we got up there very early on Tuesday morning. We still had quite a queue in the line, but we got through it. And I have to say, the ENS team absolutely rocked it. They were printing them out. It was very efficient. The line kept moving. And I read last night on their Twitter that they actually distributed 1,100 of these cards yesterday.
Wow.
Which I think is quite an achievement. 900 left because there's 2,000 in total, and I'm pretty sure they've all gone today. And when we got out of line, I mean, in a way, I think the hype will die down, but it does cheapen the personal POAP a little bit because ENS had a leaderboard up. So obviously people were going crazy. So the leaderboards are based on how many POAPs you've collected from other people. And there was like a guy at the, like, as soon as you'd finish printing your card, like there was a guy at the end line collecting all your POAPs so to try and get on the leaderboard. But he was a funny guy. He was what's his name? Johnny Hot Sauce. .eth. And I said, you've got to give us a memory. And so he said, we are pleased to mint you. He was quite a character. So yeah. Oh, Roger and I also had the luck to win IYK cards from Git POAP as well.
Yeah, I would love to post that. Yep.
Yeah. So they came beautifully packaged in this cardboard box, which obviously contained the card and also a very colorful, lovely Git POAP badge that you can just see poking out on the top there and sticker. And it was really, yeah, we were in touch with, so Kayla from Git POAP contacted us and said, told us the lucky news, and then they set to work designing as a personal design to go like the digital design, which was fantastic. And Lou from the Git POAP designer really worked really hard to work my avatar into the POAPs. I'm really happy with the result, and that's my favorite one. It's better than the ENS one. It's got a bit more flavor to it. Yeah, so it's been getting very POAP-y here. It's been great. Lots of POAP swag to be had. Just in general, I'd say that if anyone has never been to an Ethereum event in real life, they absolutely should. Even if you're not technical, the energy is amazing, and the people are open, and you can really talk about anything you want, and it's a lovely way to connect to people, I have to say. All right, I think that's about it for the swag on our side. I mean, I'm happy to say a little bit more, but lots of t-shirts, lots of stickers. I think my favorite stickers are from Ronnie the Little Ghost from Ava. Pretty cute stickers, nice and shiny.
Yeah, I think it's all wonderful. And Logic Beach in the chat, he said second that when you were talking about being able to go to conferences. Well, I want to third that, and I'm sure Jen will fourth that.
Yeah, I'll say another word about that later when we talk about favorite POAPs. But yeah, great experience.
Excellent. Yep. Definitely great to see. Yeah, I was seeing on Twitter the long lines to get the ENS and IYK cards. And when you were talking to us about Johnny Hot Sauce yesterday in our planning call, we had a small discussion about kind of like the philosophy behind You Met Me POAPs. And so maybe not exactly the best way to go about collecting POAP. I mean, it's a way to do it, to just stand in the line where people are literally getting POAP distribution cards and being like, hello, can I have your POAP? So, hey. But, you know, that's we sort of had this discussion where that's kind of not the spirit of a You Met Me POAP. So, yeah. Good on y'all for like, hey, at least give me a memory, my man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it'll calm down a little bit in time. I think this is the first time that that cards have been available en masse to a lot of people.
Right. But okay, I think due to time, we are going to have to move on because I do want to talk about y'all's projects. So, both of you have started this project, this initiative called disCarbon. And so I'm going to go ahead. I want to post the link to this here in the community calls chat.
Oh,
So this is the general link. This will basically talk about the the mission statement of disCarbon. But I want you to go ahead and talk to us about it. So what is disCarbon?
So disCarbon is basically Roger and I. It's a project that we started in May, following the Ethereum Amsterdam Hackathon that we attended at the end of April. And we hacked on a protocol called Toucan Protocol. And Toucan Protocol tokenize real-world carbon credits and bring them on Polygon. And that means you can take advantage of all the transparency and verifiability of the blockchain for carbon credits. And not only that, you have a liquid market. So maybe just a little background to what happens in the traditional world away from blockchain. There is a voluntary carbon market where companies can choose to, it's very voluntary, as the word implies. Companies can choose to compensate the emissions they make, or individuals as well, of course. And for that, they can buy carbon credits. And these carbon credits can be a factory scrubber that removes carbon dioxide out of the exhaust fumes that come out of that chimney, or they can be attributed to a conservation project on the ground, like a forest. So a forest obviously breathes in carbon dioxide, and you can measure how much carbon dioxide that breathes in, and then that amount gets issued as a carbon credit. So there's a little bit of background necessary, but basically the idea behind carbon credits is that you can drive positive impact on the ground with these projects in order that you can basically try and save rainforests, to put it in a bit of a blunt way. For example, instead of getting it cut down to graze cattle, people are incentivized to keep the forest, and then they can issue carbon credits based on that forest. And then they can make money that way instead, which is obviously much nicer. And so disCarbon, there are many problems. I mean, this industry is not perfect. In particular, the old industry is very opaque. There's no global market for these credits. So these projects have the problem that they have to try and sell their credits, and it's a bit difficult for them to know what a fair price is. And generally, these carbon credits make quite a few hops before they get to the person that actually wants to take them out of circulation at the end to compensate for their emissions. And blockchain solves a lot of problems in this, because basically, as blockchain does very well, it removes the middleman. So you don't have any traders or dealers that are profiting. The value will go to these projects on the ground. And so disCarbon's aim, like core goal, is basically to try and drive as much value to these projects on the ground. Oh, it's getting a little bit loud here, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Roger's going to go and try and sort it out.
We don't hear it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. I do love this line of conversation. And I've been playing with the website a little bit.
I'm sorry, guys. Roger's on it. Roger's going to ask them to try and get. We're in a hotel in Bogota, and it has very thin walls. We didn't go for the luxury end of the hotel spectrum. Roger's going to try and get them to stop drilling. Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good. We don't hear it at all. I promise you.
Okay. Well, can we get them to stop? Or... No.
It should be a short time only, they said.
All right.
Okay.
Excellent. So I think our line of thought right now is basically how everything works. Is there any lasting things you want to say on that before we go into what inspired you to create disCarbon?
I mean, pretty much that, to be honest. Thanks, JENetics, for that very depictive GIF. That's also how we're feeling. So yeah, essentially, well, I mean, I'd say before I discovered this space and blockchain, I felt kind of useless to do anything against climate change, apart from, reducing your own emissions and whatnot. But Web3 really allows people like ourselves or anyone to go and try and contribute to this space, which is a borderless community that is trying to drive change in order to fight climate change. So we can use our programming skills now to develop tools that drive demand for on-chain carbon. And it's definitely a good thing for the industry that comes on-chain, for the transparency and for the liquidity. And hopefully that means that more value will go to projects. And that means that more projects like this will exist, and there'll be more conservation projects, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely right there with you. So in the past, we've seen some of these other companies pop up where you're able to voluntarily, as you said, give some sort of monetary fee in order to offset your carbon emission. But what about disCarbon makes it different from these other carbon credit services that are available?
Okay, I mean, at the moment in the Web 2 world, when you go to one of these carbon credit services, it's quite a long checkout process. And at the end, you get a PDF, and you really have to trust the project that you're sourcing these carbon credits from, that they then go away and then destroy them. They have to be officially retired, or there's no positive action taken. They could double spend these carbon credits. And when you move this all on chain, when you use the tools that we've created to help you retire carbon credits, then you can go and check your transaction in the Block Explorer, and you can really see that carbon credits were acquired on your behalf, and then they were retired, and you can even see the project name and the project number, and you can even go and check that up in the old world carbon credit registry, so you really know what's happened on your behalf. And in the old world, that's just not really possible. You have to have a lot of trust in the organization that's doing that on your behalf. In that sense, it also makes it permissionless, because the old registry, you actually have to be vetted to join, and you have to pay a fee to join. And you can't join as an individual, you have to join as an organization. And on chain, that changes everything. Anyone can go and do it for free. You don't need to pay a fee to join. And it's permissionless, so anyone can go and do it, which is great.
This is a great idea. I was just looking through your frequently asked questions section. And this started this summer, you guys put this together?
We started in May,
May.
and we had a bit of luck that at the hackathon, we had a judge that basically said, "Oh, well, would you like to?" So we had this as a hackathon project originally, and he said, "Would you like to keep this project up? We've got this conference coming up in October, and if you want, you could continue this project and offset it for us." And we had no idea who he was or what the conference was. And we went home and we were high as kites. We had such a great weekend, and then we looked up who this judge could be that we presented to, and it turned out it was Wesley from Devcon, and he was talking about Devcon 6, which is where we are now. And so we set to work, and we pinged Wesley on Twitter, and luckily he connected with us and told us how to proceed, that we needed to create a community improvement proposal. So we did, and we managed to get the community on board, and then we started building, basically, and we'd already started building a flight emissions offsetter, which is a dApp where you can enter two cities, where you've left and where you're going to. I think Logic Beak shared it higher up in the chat, which calculates how far you've traveled by plane and the associated carbon emissions. And then you can directly on-chain using Matic. It's on Polygon, so you can offset using Matic or RAPT for Matic, USDC, or the native carbon token of the protocol we're building on top of, which is NCT, which stands for Nature Carbon Ton. So for our tools, we're only sourcing carbon credits for nature-based carbon tokens. So really all the good stuff, agriculture and conservation projects, which look after forests.
That's so cool. I noticed. I know you guys just started this in May, and it's been it looks like it's growing well, and I'm really excited to see as you guys grow and add more and more projects that are supported by the offset and by purchasing these carbon credits. I think that's a great idea, and I'll definitely be adding this to my bookmarks bar just for times when I go on a flight or something like that.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Did you guys get, just out of curiosity, if this was promoted by Devcon in any way, did you guys see like an uptick in people actually doing this, or how has it turned out regarding Devcon?
I think Devcon have been a bit cautious of pushing it too hard, because it's an external project, and although we pushed it as a community proposal, they have been helping us. They have shouted it out on Twitter. But I mean, obviously it requires an action from people to go and connect their wallet on Polygon and send tokens. And people are very busy at Devcon. I actually think next week might be the week where we see more adoption come in. But so far we've seen about 125 offsets and 300 tons of carbon offsetted.
Amazing.
Which is already great. And we
That's
were actually
300
talking
tons that wouldn't have been otherwise. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's great. We're really happy. And if we get to about 250 people, we'd actually be quite happy, because we met someone who said that the adoption rate to offset your flight when you check out is about 3 to 5%. So if we do that, then it's target complete.
Right.
But I would just like to say quickly, because we are coming up close to the hour,
Oh, wow.
I would just love to tell everyone exactly, thank you, Mr. Mojo, that one of the reasons why we're here is because we wanted an instantaneous minting experience for anyone that went and used our dApp. So we have a dedicated backend running on a computer which checks whether your account has interacted with our contract and sent the amount of NCT, the amount of carbon, or bought the amount of carbon that it should have done. And once you've done that, then you become eligible to mint the POAP. And the disabled button there on the right underneath that beautiful unicorn gets enabled. And then you can go ahead and mint. And in the bottom screenshot, you can see some little Toastify notifications that even tell you that your POAP's being minted. And the bottom green notification even gives you a link to the transaction on the XDAI, which for real POAP geeks, you want to go and have a look at.
If I choose to offset a random individual's flight to Bogota, do I get a POAP?
Of course you do, Logic.
I might offset one of my friends.
I mean, obviously we don't want to encourage farming in any way, shape, or form. But
Good point.
If anyone feels incentivized to go and offset part of their annual carbon emissions using this dApp or our flight offsetter, then please feel free to do that. So if you offset your flight and you can enable that button, and then you can go and mint your POAP straight away. You'll find it right in your wallet within 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's really neat that you pretty much seamlessly integrated POAPs into your project, and I mean, really, it's as smooth as can be from what I'm able to understand of it.
We were in touch with a couple of people from the POAP team, and I'd like to say thank you to Nazita in particular, and Sam as well, for helping us out. The POAP API is really fun to use, and it's been very reliable, so it's made building very easy. And all our stuff that we've built and developed for this is open source. And obviously, time allowing, it would be very nice to be able to open source a library that would maybe ease the onboarding process for a developer to do something like this in the future. So if there's any developers out there, in particular Python developers, who would like to get involved in this project, then feel free to reach out. It does need a bit of work before we get started, but I think we can do that. It's not in too bad a shape. Yeah, anyone can feel free to reach out to me.
All right, excellent. So we are coming to the end of our time. I do apologize that we weren't able to touch on absolutely everything that we had in the agenda for your spotlight. But to end off our call today, I do want to take a look at the POAPs that you had selected.
Mr. Mojo.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, we're going to jump? Okay.
Oh, no.
All I want to say, Mr. Mojo, I'm sorry, 10 seconds.
Yeah,
is that
finish off. Sure thing.
I'm sorry. All I want to say is the POAP that you mint in the dApp allows you then in 2 to 3 weeks, once we have a more accurate emission estimation for the event, to then vote on the choice of the carbon offset project. So you can literally choose which forest you would like to retire carbon credits from. There'll be a snapshot vote.
That's POAP utility right there. Amazing.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
There you go. It's kind of like we were talking about earlier with the apes wanting to put POAPs into their snapshot voting. Well, now you're using it. You're using the POAPs that you're giving out for people who are willing to offset their carbon emission, and then they're able to use that POAP to voice. To use their voice to choose where their money is going. I think it's an excellent idea.
That's right. Exactly.
But all right. To end off, I do want to talk about the 4 POAPs that you all have selected. And let me get this going on my end. So we're going to start off with Dan's favorite. So you can see these in the community calls chat. And I'm going to post them now. Starting off.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mojo. So I chose You Have Met Patricio in April 2022 as my favorite POAP because we flew to Amsterdam and we got there and we went down to the conference venue that evening and we saw Patricio and we went to meet him, and it was my first ever crypto event that I'd ever been to. And it was just so incredible how welcoming Patricio was. And we also got speaking to a couple of core developers at Open Zeppelin who make they make core infrastructure for software developers developing on Ethereum. And it was just a wonderful experience, and it really set the tone for the rest of the week. And I think Patricio even gave us a pin, and yeah, it was just a lovely discussion. So that's why it's a very happy memory, and that's why I selected it. That's my favorite.
All right, excellent. I also love that. I have this POAP as well. I still have the sticker that he gave me, the one that he slapped on my chest whenever he gave me the POAP. So
nice.
Yep.
Nice.
But all right, so now we're going to look at Roger's favorite.
Yeah, this one is a bit an older one, so it's a Genesis depositor for the Beacon chain. It's like, that was an experience. It took me about half a year of blood, sweat, and tears, starting my own Beacon nodes, compiling code, participating in all the public and a bit more specialized test nets. And well, yeah, after these 4 or 5 months getting there, being part of the inception of proof of stake of Ethereum, and it was also one of the first beautifully designed POAPs. So this is the memory I have. It's not so much attendance, but the blood, sweat, and tears which went into it. I'm always getting a bit nostalgic if I just scroll down a bit. And then the additional utility we talked about before is this one is like, for Devcon, you could more or less supply your wallet, so prove that you own this wallet address, and then they use your POAPs to more or less get an idea. Okay, are you part of the community? Should you get a developer ticket, so reduced price ticket? So this is the additional utility I got from this POAP. So if I scroll down 2 years back, yeah, getting nostalgic.
Yep, and that's what it's all about. Definitely one of the OG POAPs that are out there, and one that people definitely love to have in their collection. And all right, so you two gave us 2 more that you'd say are a shared POAP. So I'm going to go ahead and post the first one, and please tell us about it.
All right, so this actually, that first one. Okay, so this one's a quick explanation. This one is really a very happy POAP for us because that's really the culmination of all the work we've put in over the summer in order to build this dApp. And this is the POAP that we came up with Dava, the unicorn, sitting on lovely grass, looking very happy because you offset your emissions for Devcon.
Excellent. All right, and then our final one.
So, the ETH Staker Hackathon. So this came out, this POAP was minted the same week as the Patricio POAP that I minted just above at DevConnect in Amsterdam in April of this year. As you just heard, Roger is an avid staker, and he went to the ETH Staker event that went on, and it went on for 3 days. The last day was reserved as a hackathon, so a programming competition, for people to go and build utility within the stake or for the staking community. And Roger prepared it very well and contacted, now what's his 4-digit number? ETH2453. I'm not. Maybe I posted.
I think so. Yeah.
So a guy who's very active in the staking community, who'd written, it's a very sexy topic. It's all about tax. So he'd written, but very useful for stakers. So he'd written a website, sorry, which would pull all your information as a validator on the Beacon chain and sum it up over the year, and allow you to do your taxes very conveniently on all the income you've made on your staked ETH. And Roger and I managed to team up with another guy who was attending the event that we didn't know before, Giovanni, and we hacked on ETH2453's code base for a day and tried to add utility for Gnosis chain. And what was the other thing we did or tried to do?
The Rocket Pool.
Rocket Pool, of course, yeah. And it was a wonderful day. We met a lot of people, or I met a lot of people for the first time from the staking community. And we also met the Git POAP team, and we also met the Grey Wizard from POAP, and really connected. And that's been a very valuable, or just a lovely connection for me that I've constantly reached back out to Sam, and we've been in touch, and it's been a very happy journey. And he's looking forward to meeting him in person again this week. So a very happy memory all around.
Yeah, I think it's awesome for the eStaker gathering in Amsterdam at DevConnect. Yeah, they had their hackathon. I was hanging out there. I was part of eStaker at the time. So whenever we first spoke in our planning meeting, I was just looking at y'all's faces, and I was like, where do I know these people from? And now I know for sure. Well, it's because you participated in the eStaker hackathon, and of course you got your Git POAP for participating in that, and I think it's great. But all right.
I will just add quickly. I'm sorry, Mr. Mojo, and all the listeners, but the Git POAP, the utility that gave us was that allowed us to enter Git POAP's raffle for the IYK card that we saw higher up in the chat.
Isn't that so cool?
So yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, one of the things I love about Git POAP is that they're definitely an industry leader when it comes to POAP utility. Even just, it's baked right into their project completely, how you get these POAPs for contributing to open source software. Right from the get-go, it's a way to show that like you are developing, you are contributing to the ecosystem. And then to even more build on top of that, I think it's great. But all right, so we've gone a bit over. I don't want to take any more of people's time. So I want to go ahead and talk about how you can claim our POAP. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop the event timer. And I'm going to get this going here. All right. So if you go over to the Join Guild channel, you can claim the POAP. I'm about to put it in there. All right. So as long as you listened for long enough and you contribute either $1 worth of ETH on mainnet, or you can go to Polygon if you don't want to pay the mainnet gas fee. You can contribute about $1 worth of Matic, or you can contribute 1 DAI or 1 USDC, and you will be able to claim your POAP for us, and those funds go to our POAP Community Call treasury. And next week we should have more on what we plan to do with the funds in that treasury. But all right, everyone, if there is anything that you missed on the show, or you want to listen to anything on there, these do get uploaded to the official POAP YouTube channel. Link to that in the community calls chat. Be sure to subscribe over there. Many things being posted on there. Hopefully more, of course, of these calls, and hopefully some more POAP Citizen on the way as well. But all right. Thank you to Jen. Thank you to Logic Beach. And especially Dan and Roger from disCarbon coming on and talking to us about POAPs and everything going on in our community. Until next time, next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, that's it for us this week. Thank you.
Awesome project, guys. See you next week.
Thanks a lot. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.